Alright, welcome back. Let's get to it. Finally, with the hope that Shibuya, a city reborn, will experience even greater prosperity, I conclude this speech by declaring the second Shibuya Peace and Restoration Festival open. Thank you all for your cooperation. November 6, 2015, 9 a.m. Wasn't this the date of one of the new gen incidents, or was that, like, all the dates are completely past? I think so, all the dates are completely past. I hope. The second Shibuya Peace and Restoration Festival had begun. People gathered in front of the Hikariwo to loudly applaud when the mayor finished his speech. Then they started to split off to visit the concerts and stalls that they want to go see. Over 80% of the population here had come from outside Shibuya. Many were from Tokyo, but others had come all the way from outside the country to witness the celebration. There were easily more than 100,000 people attending. The first festival was held last year to celebrate the 5th anniversary of the reconstruction, and the whole world had come out to celebrate. A similar event had also been done a year after the earthquake, but it had been less of a festival and more of a memorial. The rebuilding work was proceeding at a feverish pitch, but at that point it was still too early to call it a city reborn. But last year, even though there were still areas that are covered in rubble, the 5th year anniversary and the prospect of the tax revenue that would come along with it were enough to get the government to hold a festival for the whole ward. Despite being only a one-day event, it had attracted over 80,000 people and worldwide attention. It was such a big success that for this year the city had put even more effort into it. The concerts were bigger and there were more places to eat and drink. The main areas were centered around the Hikariwo building, as well as the Shibuya Cultural Hall, Shibuya's 107 building, and Shibuya Sign City. All the main roads around the station were closed to any traffic that wasn't bringing in people or equipment to the festival. Bunkamuradori and Dogenzakadori in particular were overflowing with performers and stalls. Should we do this spot next? The reporter with Tokyo Next TV saw the cameraman nod and then looked at the scene in front of her. This whole thing was stupid and she could tell she was getting tired. Center guy. One of Shibuya's busiest shopping streets. This street always had a lot of young people to begin with, and now the festival is covered with stalls to visit and filled with people of all ages. There's too many people here. When she'd been given the job of reporting on the Shibuya Reconstruction Festival several months ago, she literally jumped for joy. The reason she was so excited was that the vocalist for one of her favorite bands, Takayanagi Momone, was going to be performing on stage. I thought she died. What? Oh, when she'd be given the job of reporting. Okay, so that was a while ago. Ever since she'd happened to hear Takayanagi's voice at a concert hall, she'd been a fan, or perhaps a dedicated believer, who was willing to do whatever it took to get a camera to her performance at the restoration festival so that the whole world could see how wonderful she was. But why did she have to die? She'd been caught up in the return to the new generation madness and was murdered. Now there was barely any point in covering the restoration festival anymore. But she still had to smile in the bay when her boss told her to come here, and in the end, now I'm off chasing rumors? She wanted to believe that a big TV station would be better than this. What was she doing? What she was doing was little better than rubbernecking. Oh, there they are, look. The cameraman pointed at a group of people wearing homemade t-shirts. The shirts had a white print background with a photo on the front and a big red ... that covered the photo. Oh, is that a sumo sticker in the back? They're all young, just like all the others she interviewed so far. She covered her annoyance with the same smile she used to deal with her obnoxious boss. Then she pushed through the crowd and got close to the group.
こんにちは。何してるんですか?
Hello, what are you up to? Wow, are you from TV? What station? Who cares, she thought to herself as she told them she was with Tokyo Next. This, look. He pulled on his t-shirt to show her. The photo in the center was of two fat male faces, the sumo sticker. So the TV's here, is it true, what they said on Twippo?
何ですかそれ?
Huh? What do you mean? She played dumb and acted surprised. She certainly couldn't tell them that she'd come here because of a rumor on Twippo, especially one that was almost certainly a lie. There's a rumor that Miyashiro is going to kill himself right here. She knew about that before dawn. It was supposed to happen in front of the big TVs. A few hours ago, it was next to the statue of Hachiko in front of the station.
宮代ってあの指名手配になっている宮代拓くんですか?
By Miyashiro, do you mean Miyashiro Takeru-kun, the fugitive? Yeah, I've got a picture. She started to fiddle with the smartphone, seemingly oblivious to the fact that she hadn't asked to see it. It was the same picture of Miyashiro Takeru that she was already sick of seeing, according to her bosses, from his student handbook.
こんなものどうして持ってるんですか?
What? How did you get this?
ネット見てないんすか? みんな持ってますよ.
Haha, you don't spend a lot of time on the internet, do you? Everybody's got it.
俺らマジで懸賞金狙ってますから.
We're totally gonna get that reward. Award, come to think of it, there was a fake rumor about that going around.
その T シャツはご自分で作られたんですか?
Did you make those t-shirts yourself?
まさかさっき300円で買ったんすよ。超絶ダサいっしょ。ネタネタ。
No way, we just bought them for 300 yen back there. Don't they look stupid? It's just a meme. And they all started to laugh, though she didn't get the joke. She could feel herself getting more and more aggravated. She'd seen similar TV shirts and placards, seen some that were declaring Miyashiro Takeru a god and glorifying the sumo stickers. Some of them were being sold as part of the movement to get rid of the sumo stickers so people could focus on the festival, but most people were just wearing them to be part of the chaos. Of course, this is the first time she's seen anyone who actually believed in the reward.
宮代拓くんについてどう思いますか?
What are your thoughts on Miyashiro Takeru-kun?
調子こいてますね。連続殺人? しかも同じ施設のやつもでしょ? 何やってもいいと思ってんすよ、こいつ。
Tell son of a bitch, she's a serial killer, right? And he even killed people from his own orphanage. What a sicko.
こいつのこと神とか言ってるオタク連中マジキモくないっすか? 俺らそういうの許せないんすよ。
Those weird otaku guys say he's some kind of god, but they're just a bunch of creepy losers. I hate those assholes. She ignored most of what they were saying. There was no need to go any deeper. As long as she had the footage on her camera, that'd be good enough. But everyone seemed to think that Miyashiro Takeru was the killer. At least everyone who'd come to the festival to find him seemed to think so. They were probably right. The official announcement just said that he was wanted as a person of interest, but if he wasn't the killer, they wouldn't have used his real name. She'd also heard that they were, in fact, looking for him as a suspect, though she didn't know where the information had come from. Miyashiro Takeru, the killer behind the return of the new generation madness. She suddenly felt a rage building inside her. There was no way she could do what she'd originally set out to do now. The angel with the heavenly voice was dead. But there was one reason to participate in this festival. That's right, I don't care if they're just rumors. I'll find all the information on Miyashiro's whereabouts I can to make it easy for people like these to find him. Yup, and it's doing that thing again where their vision's all red. That means they're being mind controlled. If he wanted to kill himself in public, he was probably some kind of sick madman. If he pulled it off, even more idiots might start worshipping him, and that was just what he probably wanted. She wouldn't let that happen. That wouldn't atone for her murder at all. He deserved a miserable, painful death. Preferably people throwing rocks at him, like an old historical drama.
ちょっとどうしたの？
Hey, what's wrong? Only then did she realize that the people in front of her had stopped talking. She said thank you and went to go find another person to interview.
そうだ、すいません、最後に一つ。
Alright, sorry, one last question. She suddenly stopped and asked the group one last question she thought of before they disappeared into the
今
crowd.
日はどちらから？
Where are you from?
埼玉っすよ。チャリで来ました。
Saitama, we came by bike. Then they laughed again, but she still didn't get the joke. This time she turned around without thanking them and walked off into the busy street. She could tell her cameraman looked confused. He didn't seem to understand the meaning of her question. If they were from Saitama, that meant they weren't from Shibuya. From the look of it, they weren't victims of the earthquake either. People who had nothing to do with the Shibuya earthquake were here looking for Miyashiro. So were the victims of the earthquake she just interviewed a while ago, who were hoping that the Restoration Festival would be a success. And so are people with a grudge to bear against him, like her.
出てこい、宮代。
Come on out, Miyashiro. Her thoughts were never going to be heard on TV, and so the people nearby couldn't hear them either. But they were shared by the vast majority of the people at the Restoration Festival. Whenever she saw someone wearing a Suma sticker on their clothes, she figured they were after Miyashiro, and when she went to interview them, she found that she was right. But in fact, the news that Miyashiro was going to kill himself in front of the crowd had been playing on TV every hour since the previous night. Because of that, over 98% of the people at the Restoration Festival had heard it. There was literally no place safe for him in the city.
調子こいてますね。連続殺人？しかも同じ施設のやつもでしょ？何やってもいいと思ってんすよ、こいつ。
Why does it sound like Ito's voice? Tell son of a bitch, he's a serial killer. Oh, it's literally just the guy who got interviewed. He's a serial killer, right? And he even killed people from his own orphanage. What a sicko. The words made me sick, so I turned off the TV. I realized that the skin on the soles of my feet were starting to rub off and then unclenched my toes. Felt like if I didn't keep some part of my body tensed up, I'd scream and start smashing things. I always hate outsiders who never cared about the actual people caught up in something, but this time it was different.
誰が調子ついてるって。
And who exactly is a son of a bitch? Damn it, you don't know anything. You don't understand anything. And if you don't know anything, then keep your damn mouth shut. I wasn't the one who killed Nono or Yui. Sarika had been sitting in her chair, barely moving. She seemed to be staring at a spot on the wall, waiting for the time to pass.
タクルさん。
おい、ここへ来ちゃダメだろ。
Hey, you're not supposed to come in here. I suddenly shut my mouth. Luki and Kazuki were both looking at Sarika. Their hands were shaking, either fear or suppressed rage, or maybe both.
新庄さんと優斗は。
Where are Shinjo-san and Yuto?
新庄さんは今電話を。ゆうとくんはお薬を飲んで私の部屋で眠ってます。
Shinjo-san's on the phone. Yuto-kun took some medicine and is sleeping in my room.
そっか。
See. I was glad he was asleep. If he saw the person who killed the sisters, he probably wouldn't be able to handle it. He was still in elementary school after all. Two of them stare at Sarika, unmoving. Sarika didn't move either. But
本当だ。
it's true. At some point, Sarika turned away from the wall to look at them.
クルス・ノノを殺したのは私だよ。山添雨季、和樹花。
Yamazoi Uki Kazuki Hana. I was the one who killed Kurusu Nono. Their expression suddenly changed. Sarika must have read their thoughts. They took a few steps back and shivered.
他の全ての事件もあなたなんですか？
Then you were behind all the other murders too?
そうだ。
That's right.
どうして？い
W-
え、だったら
Why? No. Then Circa's voice was calm, but Uki's was small and shaky.
私がいた場所のこと何か知ってるんですよね。私がお世話をしていた皆さんは今どこに？
You know something about the place where I was, right? Where are the people I was taking care of?
さあな。私にはわからない。
I don't know.
答えてください。お願いです。あなたが全ての犯人なら知っているはずです。
Answer me, please. If you're the real killer, you must know. I suddenly realized why Uki wouldn't back down.
そうだ。
That's right. Uki didn't know about Dad yet. I hadn't had the time to tell her, and
ウキは父さんを慕っていたから。
Uki really looked up to him. Uki was extremely shy, and it was Nono and Dad who'd given her a place here. It seemed she'd always found her meaning in life through helping others, so doctors must have been people she really looked up to.
話せるわけないだろ。
I can't tell her.
山添雨季。お前は何も聞いていないようだな。
Yamazoe Uki, it seems you haven't heard yet.
やめろ。
Stop. I jumped out of my chair.
お前なら佐久間の正体に気づける可能性があったんだがな。おそらく6年前に会っているはずだ。
You should have been capable of finding out who Sakuma really was. You probably met him 6 years ago.
何の話を？
Huh? What are you talking about?
まあ、あんな状況では無理かもしれないが、佐久間は。
Yes, I can't blame you given what you're going through. Sakuma is.
だからやめろ。
I said stop. So I screamed. I hit her with my power without even thinking about it. I slammed her off her chair and onto the floor. And then I walked over and grabbed her by the hair. I'd never been this violent with a girl before. I hear Uki and Kazuki gasping at the change in me.
こっちを見ろ。
Look at me. I grabbed her by the hair to make her look me right in the eye. We're gonna get a Takaru villain arc.
いい加減にしろよお前。これ以上大切な家族の心を壊すな。
I mean, the game's been alluding to it for a while with his reaction to Kunosato, but honestly, that might have been... He had that effect. Takaru, when he got angry with Kunosato, had the red border thing, which, I mean, could be because he was angry, but I feel like if that was actually what was happening, they wouldn't have used the same effect as every time someone got mind-controlled. I looked at her, mustering all the rage I could in my mind. She should have been able to tell how angry I was. Sarika must have felt my anger, and maybe it hurt when I grabbed her hair because her face twisted a little in pain. I looked back and saw Uki staring at Sarika with wide eyes. Kazuki looked sad too.
もうやめてください。いくら尾上さんがその悪い人でもタクルさんがそんな怖いことするの見たくないです。
Please stop it. Even if Onoe-san is a bad person, I don't want to see you being scary like that.
ああ、そうだな。
Yeah, you're right. I let go of Sarika's hair. She ran her hand through it violently to try and get it back into place. She ran her hand through her hair violently.
タクルさん、先生はどうしたんですか？今どこにいるんですか？
Tucker-san, where's the doctor? What happened to him?
それに新庄さんが突然荷物をまとめろって、それと何か関係あるんですか？
Also, Shinjo-san told us to get our things together. Does that have something to do with that?
それは
Well, there were tears in Uki's eyes, but I couldn't bring myself to tell her the truth. Circa stood up, and then she grabbed her stomach again for some reason. There was blood on her hands.
父さんにやられたっていう傷か。
That's from where Dad said he cut her. Come to think of it, her wound looked like it had opened when I used my powers on her back at Frisia. Damn it. I turned to Uki, who looked like she was on the verge of breaking down in tears.
後で必ず話すから。今は言われた通りに荷物をまとめてくれ。ウキ。
I'll tell you what happened later, I promise. So go get your stuff together, Uki.
でも
What? Uki looked like she wanted to ask more questions, so Kazuki grabbed her hand firmly and shook her head. Then she pushed her gently on the shoulder and led her out of the room.
ありがとうな。
Thanks. I said thanks in my mind for Kazuki's kindness. As soon as I heard the two of them start to quietly pack up in Uki's room, I invited Serika downstairs.
ついてこいよ。
Follow me.
いいから来いって。
Just do it.
あれ
When I went inside the examination room, I didn't see Kunosata-san or Aramura.
変だな。
That's strange. I thought they'd still be here.
外科用の設備などここにはないだろう。
There's no equipment here for a surgery. Serika must have already read my mind.
一般家庭の救急箱よりマシだろ。それに
It's better than just a first aid kit, and Nono had said that Dad used to be a brain surgeon and said that he'd done operations on patients during the Shibuya earthquake. She said that even now there were still patients who said that he'd saved their lives.
そうだ。父さんは
That's right, Dad was a good doctor. The people in the neighborhood loved him. He drank too much and he could be a little lazy, but he was a man who found his life's work in helping others. He was a man I really respected. Then maybe he shouldn't be complicit in the fucking human domestication project? So why? First, I hadn't believed he could betray us, but as time passed, it started to seem more and more real. I knew it was pathetic, but I almost started to cry. I tried to take my mind off of it by going through the shelves, which were filled with gauze and drugs. While all the medicine bottles had neat labels in Nono's handwriting, and when I saw them, it only made me want to cry even more.
違うな。
That's not right.
佐久間は相手の思考を誘導するという最悪な力を手に入れ、それを楽しんでいる人間だ。なのに、表向きはいい医者を演じていた。
Sakuma was a monster who gained the power of mind control and enjoyed it to the fullest. He only played at being a good doctor. Circa lifted up her skirt and showed me her stomach.
お前それ
That's a lot of blood. Packing tape. It was covered with packing tape that had stained dark red. It was wound poorly and it was wound poorly and far too tight.
佐久間は以前、私が傷の応急処置にガムテープを使っているのを見て笑っていたよ。やるじゃねえか、と意味のわからないことを言ってな。
Sakuma once saw me using packing tape to treat an injury and laughed. Not bad, he said. I didn't know what he meant.
お前は2番目の事件を覚えているか？ストリートミュージシャンの高柳が殺された事件だ。
Do you remember the second murder when Takiyanagi, the street musician, was killed?
あ
Yeah.
腹が裂かれてスピーカーが埋め込まれていた。あの時思考誘導された高柳が止血に使ったのがやはりガムテープだ。
Her stomach was cut open and a speaker was put inside. She was mind controlled into using packing tape to stop the bleeding.
思考誘導された高柳が裂いた腹をガムテープで処置しているのを見た。なぜそんなことをさせているのかあいつに尋ねたが、あいつはこう言った。
When I saw him make her use the packing tape, I asked him why he was making her do that, and this is what he said.
お前に似てるだろ？人形みたいで面白いじゃねえか。
She's just like you, right? A doll. Isn't that funny? I can imagine his tone and his voice. I felt all the hairs on my body stand up on end.
私は佐久間の思考を読んだ。何を考えてそんな言葉が出てくるのか知らなければと思った。
I read Sakuma's mind. It felt like I had to know why he was saying that. Sakura gave a deep sigh as if letting out something that had been building up inside her.
あいつは言葉以上のことを考えていなかった。頭の中にはただ面白いという声だけが反響していた。
He wasn't thinking about anything more than what he said. The only word in his mind was funny.
あいつは異常だ。よく快楽殺人と言われるものがあるが、それですらない。
He's not normal. They talk about people who get pleasure from killing, but he's not even that.
自分にとって面白いかどうかだけが重要で、その行為が殺人かどうかにさえ興味がないんだ。
All he cares about is whether or not he finds something entertaining, and it doesn't even have to be murder.
あいつに気持ちを寄せるな。理解しようとするな。優しい父親だったという思い込みを捨てろ。
Don't try to have any feelings for him. Don't try to understand him. Give up the idea that he was a loving father.
別にそんなつもりはない。
I know that.
違う。お前はまだ佐久間に対して何かを期待している。でもあいつにとっては食後のお前たちとの談笑も残虐な殺人も同じことなんだぞ。
No, you're still hoping, but to him, the conversations he had after dinner with you were no different than the brutal murders he committed.
そんなつもりないって言ってるだろ。
I said I know that, except you really don't. I couldn't tell how my confused thoughts appeared to Sarika, because I truly didn't know how I felt myself. Dad was trying to join some organization called the Committee. That's why he was going to kill me and put an end to the case. I was tired of hearing that.
大体それをすぐに受け入れろって言われたって無理に決まってるだろ。
There's no way I can take in all this so quickly. Just 10 hours ago, Dad was Dad, the lazy guy who drank too much, the doctor everybody loved. In other words, Sarika began to tear off the packing tape in a disorderly manner. Should you be doing that unless we have a way of sealing the wound? Like, how much... I guess he said what we have here is better than just a first aid kit or something.
ここは外科じゃないからな。手術道具が置いてあるとは思えない。それより奥の机の一番下の引き出しを見てくれ。
This isn't a surgery center, so there shouldn't be any surgical tools. Instead, look in the bottom drawer in the back desk.
何？
What?
クルス・ノノがよく使っていた机だ。そこに裁縫道具が入っているだろう。
That was the desk Kurusunono used. There should be sewing tools in there. Ooh, something tells me, sewing tools are not as... are going to be a little bit more blunt than medical tools. Kurusu had indeed kept sewing tools in there to patch the buttons back on Dad's white coat. Did she learn that by reading Kurusu's mind? Damn it. I was angry, but I didn't know what she said anyway. There was a bag filled with sewing tools there, like always. I gave them to Sarika and she grabbed a needle and thread at random. She disinfected them and started to wordlessly sew up her own stomach. Seeing the sewing needle stick into Circa's pale white skin was worse than seeing the wound itself. She showed no hesitation and no sign of being in pain.
こいつ今までどんな生活を
What kind of life has she lived? I mean, so she started existence during right when the earthquake happened, but also when she materialized, I assume the experiences that Takaru headcanoned were also real things she remembers. Huh. I mean, I guess she killed some people. I don't know. Maybe she feels like, well, if I caused immense suffering, then I have to endure the immense suffering. I don't know. I'm just trying to psychoanalyze her. Her eyes suddenly met. I forced myself to think of something else before she could answer my question.
父さんは僕やお前をどこに呼び出したんだ
Where Dad want us to go. Circa finished her stitches and tore off the end of the thread.
すべての始まりとなった場所。その始まりの時刻に来いと言っていただろう。
She told me to come to the place where everything about this case began at the exact time when it all began, right?
わかんねえか今回の事件。いや、6年前の事件も含めて全てが始まった場所だよ。
You don't know what I mean? Where everything about this case, no, everything about this case and the one that happened 6 years ago began.
そう、そこだよ。ついでに時間も合わせようじゃねえか。あの時あの場所でってやつだ。
Yes, there. Let's see if we can't match the time, too. It'll be more dramatic that way. That's what he said. The place where everything began?
お前や久野里が考えた通り、元凶は渋谷地震にある。
Just like you and Kunosato suspected, the cause of all of this was the Shibuya earthquake.
あれは、とある装置が爆発したせいで引き起こされたものだ。そして、お前たちが発生因子と呼んでいるもの。実際は、ある特殊な電磁波だが、それが拡散されてしまった。
It was caused by the explosion of a certain device, and what you call the causal factor is actually a special type of electromagnetic wave that was spread out from there.
それによって、望まれない能力者が覚醒することになった。
That's what caused the psychics to awaken to powers they never wanted.
渋谷地震が人工地震だったっていう陰謀論は事実だったのか
So the conspiracy theory that the Shibuya earthquake was caused artificially, it was true?
そういうことになるな。
That's right.
お前たちもフリージアで話していたが、その装置はかつて渋谷駅前のプラネタリウムに密かに設置されていた。
Like you were told at Frisia, that device was secretly set up in a planetarium in front of the Shibuya station. Kunosato-san had been the one to tell me that some company had bought out the planetarium and used it to do experiments.
でもあそこは今ヒカリオが立ってるだろ
That's where Hikari-Kuo is now, right?
そう。だが、ヒカリオの中にかつてのプラネタリウムの DNA を引き継ぐというコンセプトのもと、新たに建造された施設がある。
Yes, but there's a facility inside the building that was modeled after the old planetarium.
それがシアターキューブだよ。
The Theater Cub. Cube?
え
The Theater Cube. A huge theater located inside the Hikariwo. It was used for musicals and famous performance groups from both inside and outside Japan. It was the largest part of the Hikariwo building and one of its most popular attractions. So it's hiding in plain sight? So it's modeled after the old planetarium?
そういえばあそこには
Come to think of it, I'd gone there just once before. There was a foreign musical playing. I remembered being amazed at the size of the place and the luxurious design. What I remembered best was the faces of the people I'd gone with. Yui, Yuto, and Nono and Dad. I think it was to celebrate Nono and I making it to Hekiho Academy. We made it into Hekiho, which offered free tuition for earthquake orphans. And then Dad had joked this frees up a lot of cash and bought us expensive front row seats. Nona got mad at him and told him he was wasting money. Thinking back, that was the first time the five of us had ever gone anywhere as a family. It was a memory I had treasured. But
なんで父さんはそんなところを選んだんだろう。
why did Dad choose a place like that? Onoi closed her eyes for a moment.
おそらくはお前だ、宮代拓。
Probably because of you, Miyashiro Takaru. Is that just his thought in his head? No, he said it out loud.
僕
Me?
今回の復興祭、ヒカリオはその中心の役割を担っていて、大勢の人間が集まっている。あいつは声明通り、お前を衆目の中、自殺に見せかけて殺すつもりだろう。
The Akariwo is at the center of the Restoration Festival. The place will be full of people. He probably plans to kill you in front of the crowd and make it look like a suicide, just like he said. Using his mind control, she continued.
それに、復興祭の昼のイベントさえ終わってしまえば、夜の劇場は巨大な無人スペースになる。万一、ディソードで切り合う羽目になっても、人目を避けられる。
And once the events in the afternoon are over, the theater will be a huge empty space by nightfall. If he does have to get into a fight with his D sword, he can avoid being seen.
始まりの場所に来い、などと大行なことを言っていたが、あいつが何の意図もなく場所と時間を指定するはずがない。
He made a big deal about it being where everything began, but there's no way he would specify a time and place for no reason.
ってことは時間っていうのは
Which means the time is
午後10時28分。
10:28 p.m. I would never forget that time. It was exactly when the Shibuya earthquake had struck.
午後10時28分をもって復興祭の雰囲気は一変する。それまでのお祭り騒ぎから参加者全員が黙祷を捧げ、渋谷は静寂に包まれる。
At 10:28 tonight, the atmosphere at the festival will undergo a change. The partying will stop, and all the participants will engage in a moment of silent prayer that will cover all of Shibuya.
そんな中、自殺の声明を出したお前が登場するわけだ。どうなるか想像がつくだろう。
And then you show up after telling everyone you're going to commit suicide. You can imagine what will happen after that, right?
あのクズめ。
That piece of shit. There was disgust in her words. But it wasn't rage. It sounded like she was suffering somehow. Somehow? Why, Serica? If you're that angry, if you're in that much pain.
なんでお前はずっと父さんに従っていたんだよ。
Why did you do what he told you to? Because it's his... Sorry, it's her programming, basically.
何度も言っている。私を生み出した時のことは覚えているだろう。
I've told you many times already. You remember what happened when I was created, right? Serica, save me. Please, please.
おのえ、お願いだから僕に。
Oh no, wait. Please, give me.
あの時、お前は自らの生存を助けてくれる私を望んだ。私はそのようにして生まれた。
Back then, you wished for me to save your life. That's how I was born.
それ以外に優先させる目的など私には存在しない。そのために他の全てを捨ててきた。
I have no other purpose in life and I've given up everything for it.
お前に生み出されたあの瞬間から私はそうやって生きてきたんだ。いや、
That's how I've lived ever since the moment you created me. That's been my life, or rather,
そう生きることを与えられて私は生まれたんだ。
living that life is the entire reason why I was born.
お前を生かすためであれば相手が佐久間だろうと誰だろうと黙って従う。
I'll obey anyone if it means keeping you alive, even Sakuma. I couldn't speak. If what Serica says is true, then the real cause behind all this is
責任を感じる必要はないぞ、宮代拓。
there's no need to feel responsible, Miyashiro Takaru. I shuddered reflexively as she read my mind.
お前はこれまで何も知らなかった。ギガロマニアックスのことも、その存在の裏で暗躍する連中がいることも。
You didn't know anything about the Gigalomaniacs or the ones who are responsible for their creation.
だから、これはお前のせいじゃない。
So this isn't your fault. The feelings that were hurting me deep inside my heart came boiling up.
いいのかよ。
Are you okay with it? I forced myself to speak the words.
お前はそれでいいのかよ。
Are you really okay with it? That's right, even if I was the one who created you, even if I did give you a reason to live.
ユイやノノを殺したんだぞ。
You killed Yui and Nono. That wasn't what I wished for. The kind and gentle Serica I knew ever since I was a kid would never wish for that either. You had to keep me alive. Even if it meant losing Nono and Yui, even if it meant killing them. That wasn't what the two of us wished for. If you really are willing to give up everything just for the sake of the goal you were given, then you're not human at all.
本当にただの人形みたいじゃないか。
You really are just like a doll. Serica remained motionless, likely accepting all the thoughts and feelings that shot in her direction. All she did was silently meet my gaze with her own.
そろそろ行く。
It's time for me to go. Serica was the first one to break the silence. She tossed away the old packing tape, the used gauze she'd put on her wounds, and the remaining fresh bandages into the trash, then adjusted her clothes.
渋谷から出た後は、しばらくはおとなしくしていろ。取るべき行動は、久里美代が指示してくれるだろう。
After you leave Shibuya, stay quiet for a while. Kunosato Mio will tell you what to do. She headed for the door of the examination room. She wasn't looking at me anymore. She put her hand on the doorknob. Without looking back, she told me,
夜までここにいるつもりだったが、山添雨季の能力が割と厄介だ。今余計なことをされると困る。それに。
I was planning on staying here until nightfall, but Yamazoe Uki's powers is a potential threat. I don't want her trying anything, and
お前の心変わりが起きても困るしな。
I don't want you changing your mind.
何？
What? But before I could say anything else, the door opened. Shinjo-san was standing there. I wasn't sure how long he'd been there for. He looked down at Serica, seemingly trying to keep his emotions in check.
なるほど。迷っているのか。
I see. You're not sure what to do.
君は殺人犯だ。
You're a murderer. He blocked Serica's path as he spoke.
どんな事情があるにせよ。そしてその事情が常識で測れないものであっても、殺人は殺人だ。法によって君は裁かれなければならない。
No matter what your reasons were, and even if those reasons were beyond anything a normal person could imagine, a murder is a murder. You have to be arrested and put on trial.
そうだろうな。
I suppose so. Serica's voice was calm.
それに今回の事件は尊敬していた先輩の弔い合戦でもある。
In this case is my way of avenging another detective I respected a lot. The two of them stood facing each other. The air was thick with tension between them. They stood like that for almost a full minute. I couldn't see Serica's face from here, but Shinjo-san's expression seemed to waver once in a while. He probably knew that Serica was reading his mind, so he was likely thinking of all the things he wanted her to know. It felt like there was a silent but intense discussion going on between them. Eventually, Shinjo-san sighed a little. He moved to the side with a pained expression on his face.
いいんだな。
You're sure about this? Yeah, I mean, I guess Shinjo does have to just put away his ego, right? Because, like, he wants to have that storyline where it's like, I avenge the person I respect, but it's like, that's simply not the thing to do right now.
復興祭が終わった後、上層部からどんな圧力がかかってこようと、俺は君と佐久間を追う。どこへ逃げようとな。
Once the festival's over, no matter what kind of pressure my bosses put on me, I'm going after you and Sakuma, no matter where you run.
お前が追うのは一人で済む。生き残るのは私か佐久間のどちらかだけだ。
You only need to go after one person. Only one of us is going to survive. She went to walk out of the room at a pace which belied her injury.
宮代拓。
She stopped, and without looking back, she said,
生き残れよ。何があっても。お前だけは生き残れ。
survive. No matter what happens, you have to survive. I wonder if the reason she's saying that is because she read the mind of someone who can see the future and saw that Takaru was like the key to defeating the Committee of 300, or maybe she's just using the obvious evidence in front of us that he's like a super powerful true gigalomaniac, which is probably more likely, but you have to wonder. And then she disappeared. Don't think about it too much.
何をですか？
About what?
いや、
Never mind. He scratched his head and then checked the time and frowned.
警察は厳戒態勢で復興祭の警備に当たっている。俺もこの後、一旦ここを離れなくちゃいけない。
The police are putting everything they have into security at the festival. I have to leave soon too.
その間、代わりの警官が来る。そうだな。ウキ君の部屋に隠れているといい。君がいるとは思ってないから、探しはしないはずだ。
While I'm gone, another cop will be here. Let's see. You can hide in Uki-kun's room. He won't know you're here, so he won't look for you.
はい。
おそらく戻りは夜になる。そのタイミングで渋谷を離れよう。準備をしておいてくれ。
I'll probably be back tonight. We can leave Shibuya then. Be ready to go.
わかりました。
Alright. I answered him, but my body wouldn't move. My hands were clenched tight, and I hadn't even realized it. I felt so frustrated, so angry and disgusted with myself. All these horrible things were going around me, and someone else had already decided how I was going to escape them. I'd done nothing at all. Shinjo-san seemed to be about to say something. Shinjo-san seemed to be about to say something else, but instead, he left the room silently. The clock said it was past 10 a.m. I was supposed to be getting ready to leave Shibuya, but I couldn't leave Alba Dorm right now. Most of the stuff in my room was already taken by the police. There wasn't much for me to do.
だいたい渋谷を離れる本当の理由は何だ？
And why am I even leaving Shibuya anyway? It might just be to avoid the warrant, but it's clear from the way Serika and Kunosato are talking that there was probably another reason. Something that had to do with us psychics. And something that had to do with the Chaos Child Syndrome. Damn. I quickly closed my eyes and shook my head. No, don't do it. Don't try to find out. Remember your promise to No-No. You've already learned what happens when you try and find out about things you're not supposed to know, right?
尾上は言ったな。
Onoe's gone, right? Kunosato? I looked up and saw Kunosato-san and Aramura by the door.
いつからというか。
How long have you been here? Were they at the front desk next to the examination room the whole time?
尾上に思考洞察されたくなかったのでな。とっさに有村と逃げ込んだ。
We didn't want Onoe reading our minds, so Aramura and I hid. Kunosato-san entered the room. Aramura followed after, but when she saw the bandages and tape in the wastebasket, she looked at me angrily.
別にあいつの味方になったわけじゃない。
I'm not on her side. I sounded a little guilty as I said it, but all Aramura said was, I know. The look on her face was strange. It was as if she blamed me, but wasn't able to say it out loud. So the air was still delicate between us.
なんだ
What is it?
他にも何か言いたいことはあるんじゃないのか
There's something else you want to say, isn't there?
言ってくれよ。もう隠し事はたくさんなんだ。
Tell me. I'm sick of secrets.
そうですね。
You're right. Armor looked at Kunosato-san for a moment, but evidently it was okay for her to tell me, because she continued.
セリ、尾上セリカはなんて言ってましたか？
What did Onoe Serika say?
というと、
What do you mean?
いろいろ話してましたよね。よく聞こえなかったけど、声はしてたから。
You talked about a lot of different things, right? I couldn't make out what it was exactly, but I heard your voices.
そうだな。
Yeah. I gave them both a brief version of what Serika had told me. Kunosato-san crossed her arms and thought for a moment, then whispered to herself.
やはりな。
I thought so.
お前、どう考えている？
What's your take on this?
何がです
On what?
尾上の言い分だ。
On what Onoe had to say for herself?
どうって。
What do you mean? I didn't even think about it. None of the things she said to me were things I wanted to hear.
たとえ僕が彼女を生み出してしまったとしても、どうしても納得できないというか。
Even if I created her, I still can't accept this.
違う。そういうことじゃない。
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Kunosato-san raised a hand to cut me off.
あいつがしたことは許されない。それはどんな理由を振りかざそうと変わらない。
What she's done is unforgivable. Whatever the reason was, that won't change.
私が聞いているのはそういうことではなく、あいつが昨べ事件に関して説明したことだ。お前はどう思った？
That's not what I'm talking about. What did you think about her explanation of the case last night?
ゆうべ、尾上が話したこと。
What she said last night? What do I think? She told the truth, right? Aurora heard the whole thing and used her powers to check it. Aurora looked down at her feet and softly said,
宮代先輩、覚えてますか？伊藤先輩と結衣さんの事件の後、私が言ったこと。
Miyashiro senpai, do you remember what I said after what happened with Ito senpai and Yui-san? I don't.
私がもっと注意深く能力を使っていれば、伊藤先輩の言葉がどこかおかしいって気づけたはずだって。
That if I'd been more careful with how I used my power, I could have figured out that something was wrong with what Ito senpai was saying.
もう
I knew Aramura regretted that deeply. But what did that have to do with Serika?
Huh?
I looked at her face and suddenly figured out what she meant. Was there something that Serika had said?
嘘があったのか。
Was she lying?
いえ、彼女は確かに真実を語っていました。でも
No, she was telling the truth, but...
でも
But what?
なんか変なんです。うまく言えないけど、真実すぎるというか。
It was strange. I don't know how to say it. It was all too true. Too true?
なんだよそれ。
What does that mean?
私、ずっと注意深く聞いてました。私の能力って相手の言葉が本当か嘘か分かりますけど、人の言葉っていつも白黒はっきりしてるわけじゃないです。
I listened as carefully as I could. My power lets me tell when someone's lying, but people's words aren't always black and white.
話してる時っていろいろ迷ったり曖昧になったり、自分でも何言ってるか分からなくなったり、とにかくちゃんとしてないですよね。
They hesitate, they get vague, they sometimes forget what they're trying to say. They're just not very clear, right?
だから普通は本当のことを話しててもぼんやりとしたグレーみたいな部分が混じってるものなんです。
So even when they're talking normally, there's a part of what they're saying that's kind of gray.
人間が言葉を発するという行為は常に理路整然とした思考の上で行われているわけじゃないからな。理性と感情が入り混じり、時に論旨は飛躍し、会話の道筋はひどく不安定だ。
Human speech isn't always a product of a careful, logical train of thought. It's a mix of reason and emotion that sometimes meanders or jumps topics altogether. Kinosato-san had added onto Armour's explanation.
でも彼女の尾上セリカの言葉は全てまっすぐだったんです。まるでシナリオでも用意されていて、それを読んでいるみたいに。
But her, Onoe Serika's words were all straightforward. It was like she was reading from a script.
それにあいつの話そのものにも気に入らない点がある。
And there are parts of what she said that I didn't like. Kinosato-san sat down in a chair without asking permission.
フリージアであいつの話を聞いていた時は愚かなことに私も頭に血が上っていてな。冷静に考えられなかった。
When she was talking to me at Frisia, I was stupid enough to let the blood run to my head. I wasn't thinking straight.
だがここへ来る途中ふと疑問が浮かんでそこから検討をしてみた。
So on my way here, I had an idea, and I decided to try it.
だから尾上に思考洞察されるわけにいかなかったんだ。
That's why I couldn't let Onoe read my mind.
ああ、それで。
So that was why. Last night, Kunosato-san stayed in the examination room instead of coming up to the living room to talk with everyone else. That was the reason.
本格的におかしいと思ったきっかけは夕べの電話でのやりとりだ。
What made me particularly suspicious was our discussion on the phone last night.
あいつは私にお前を渋谷から逃がすように言った。それがお前を生存させることにつながると。
She told me to get you out of Shibuya. She said that was the best way to keep you alive.
ええ。
I remembered her saying that. Armour seemed to be suspicious that her words were too true. They seemed like the genuine truth to me.
確かにお前を渋谷から逃がすということ自体は筋が通っている。お前にとっての脅威になってしまった佐久間を殺すという選択もな。
Getting you out of Shibuya makes sense. So does killing Sakuma, who's a threat to you.
だが私にお前を託すというのが矛盾していないか。
But doesn't it seem strange that she'd give you to me? I didn't know what she meant. Oh, are they saying the best way to keep Takaru alive is for him to join the committee of 300 or something? I didn't know what she meant. What was strange about it? Because he's super powerful, right? He's a crazy gigalomaniac. Why just kill him off? Why not use him? What was strange about it?
あいつはどうして私にお前を託したと思う？
Why do you think she trusted me to take care of you?
だから、久野里さんは何か知ってるんでしょう。僕らの知らない何かを。尾上はそれを。
Because you know something, right? Something that we don't. That's why she...
それを差し引いてだ。そもそもあいつの存在意義がお前の生存にあるのなら、お前が最後の時を迎える瞬間までずっと一緒にいなくてはならないはずだ。違うか？
Even without that, if the reason she exists is to keep you alive, she would need to stay with you until the last moment of your life. Am I wrong?
だからそれは通す。佐久間のせいで予定が狂って。
But that changed because of Dad, because of Sakuma. Well, if Sarika stayed with Takaru to the last moment of her life, there's a potential she could be mind-controlled and used to kill Takaru. Armour suddenly cut me off.
確かに彼女はそう言っていましたし、嘘はありませんでした。でも嘘じゃないのはおかしいと思いませんか？
That's what she said. She wasn't lying. But don't you find it strange that she wasn't lying?
Huh?
I stared at her, uncertain of what she meant.
そう。あいつの言葉は 真実に見せかけた嘘かもしれないんだよ。
That's right, her words might be lies disguised as truth. Huh? Kunosata-san nodded.
真実に見せかけた嘘？
Lies disguised as truth.
宮代拓を生かし続けるためならば手段は選ばない。あいつはそういう行動をする。
She'll do whatever it takes to keep you alive, no matter what.
だからそれのどこに嘘が？
But how's that a lie?
佐久間だと所詮末端組織の研究者に過ぎ、そんな小物と差し違えて何になる？ただの無駄死にでしかない。
Sakuma is just a scientist for a small-scale organization. What's the point of dying to kill him? It's useless.
委員会は巨大だ。佐久間を殺したところで宮代の安全など全く保証されない。なのに自分が死んでしまってはどうにもならないだろう。
The committee's power is vast. Killing Sakuma doesn't guarantee your safety at all. But how can she protect you if she's dead? I was saying that Serika is actually the danger, and by Serika dying is actually the safest thing for Takaru.
だから久野里さんに僕を預けるって。
That's why she's giving me to you.
バカを言うな。確かに私はお前をおとりにして委員会の実態を探りたいと思っている。だがお前など不必要になったら簡単に切り捨てる。守り続けるわけがない。
Don't be stupid. It's true that I plan on using you as a decoy to lure out the committee, but once I don't need you anymore, we're done. I'm not going to keep protecting you.
尾上セリカは私の思考を読めるんだぞ。そんなことわからないと思うか？
Onoe Serika can read my thoughts. Do you think she doesn't know that?
つまり委員会が本当に宮代先輩を狙っているのなら、彼女は先輩のそばから絶対に離れるはずないんです。
In other words, if the committee is really after you, she would never allow herself to leave your side.
自分の手でどこまでも先輩を守ろうとするはず。違いますか？
She would do whatever it takes to protect you herself. Am I wrong?
それは。
That's...
そしてもう一つ、決定的におかしなことがある。
There's one more thing that doesn't make sense.
あいつはなぜ最初からお前に真実を告げなかった？
Why didn't she just tell you the truth from the start?
最初？
From the start?
渋谷地震による昏睡からお前が目覚めた時だよ。
When you woke up from your coma after the earthquake.
お前を生き延びさせることが目的なら真実を隠す必要なんて最初からないんだ。
If her true goal was keeping you alive, there's never a need for her to hide the truth.
むしろ全てを正直に告げ、能力や委員会に対する情報をお前に与えた方が助かる可能性はずっと高い。
In fact, telling you about your power and about the committee would have given you a better chance of staying alive.
そもそもそういった情報があればお前は一連の殺人事件にだって絶対に首を突っ込まなかっただろう。わざわざ危険な目に遭うことだってなかった。
If you'd known about them, you never would have gotten involved in the murders. You wouldn't have put yourself in danger.
ね、なんか変でしょ、先輩。
See? Something's not right, is it? She was right. I didn't realize it until they told me. I never would have done the things I did if I'd known what Serika had told me last night. Just like Kunosata-san said, I would have stayed away from the murders. In fact, I might have done something to keep us away from it. If I had, Nono and Yui might still... I think I get this. All of these events had to happen to shape the kind of person Takaru would be. By having Yui and Nono die, it would radicalize Takaru into being a part of like the anti-committee resistance. But if he didn't, if all these things didn't happen and he just lived a normal life, there would be the human domestication project, and then they would have just wiped him out. But
なんで
why? Why'd she hide the truth? It's almost like
逆に宮代先輩を危険な目に遭わせようとしてるみたいですよね。
it's almost like she was trying to put you in danger, isn't it? Armor said the same thing I was thinking.
でも尾上の言葉が嘘だなんてありえないだろ。昨べは有村がそばにいたんだから。
But she couldn't have been lying, right? You were right next to her last night.
いえ、方法がないこともないんです。私の能力の盲点をつく方法が。
No, there's a way. There's a blind spot in my powers.
有村の能力の盲点
A blind spot? I remembered what Armor had just said. Everything Serica had said was the truth. But it was too true. It was as if she was reading from a script. I understand now. There is one way. One way to get through Armor's powers.
まさか伊藤の時と同じ
Was it the same thing that happened to Ito? Armor nodded slowly.
はい。私が伊藤先輩の異常を見過ごしてしまった。それと同じ方法なら。
Yes. If it was the same way, I missed what was wrong with Ito-senpai.
思考誘導
Mind control can get past her powers? How? I mean, if her power is to detect a lie from a truth, why would you saying it versus someone mind controlling you saying it make a difference? That meant there might be a little bit of hope.
つまり尾上は通す佐久間に思考誘導されていて
In other words, Onoe's mind is being controlled by Dad, by Sakuma?
あんなことをしたのは伊藤と同じように操られていただけで
And she only did it because she was being controlled just like Ito? Oh, that's what they're trying to get at. But Armora didn't look any better when I asked her.
私もそれなら少しは救われるなって思ったんですけど。
I thought that we might be that lucky, but
あくまでも可能性の一つだ。それにすがるな。
it's just one possibility out of many. Don't get too attached to it.
だそうです。
You heard her.
そうか
I see. My shoulder slumped.
先輩。
妙な期待はするな。それすら罠かもしれん。
Don't get any weird ideas. Even that might be a trap.
はい分かってます
Yeah, I know. I spoke clearly. I guess by trying to save Serica, he'd be putting himself in danger, which would technically lower his chances of survival. I spoke clearly. I thought I was telling the truth. But Armora looked down as if she was in pain.
今嘘をついたのか僕は
Was I lying just now? Kansata-san must have figured out what I was thinking because her expression became more stern.
私も思考誘導の線は考えている。でも、それも腑に落ちないんだ。佐久間が尾上の思考を操って、わざわざ仲間割れを演出する理由は何だ？
If there's a potential for mind control too, I think there's a potential for mind control too, but it still doesn't make sense. If Sakuma's controlling her, why fake a fight between them? She was right, there's no reason for Dad to do that. If he'd sent Serica as an assassin, I would have been dead already. The two of us had even been alone together, and Serica had done nothing. Damn it. I knew it. There's no point in hoping that Serica was really just a normal girl who didn't know anything. I should have been able to tell from watching her last night. The way she talked, the way she acted, the way she behaved towards everyone else. It's all different than the Serica I knew before. If mind control's involved, she would have acted like the Serica I knew. Because I hated myself for saying it. If she had been the old Serica, then I couldn't have brought myself to hate her. I would have thought about it for a long time and then maybe forgiven her. And then, like an idiot, I would have done exactly what Dad wanted, only regretted it the instant I was killed.
Miyashiro.
Kunosata-san's expression was as fierce as ever.
はい
Yes?
よく考えろ。もしかすると、これが重大な鍵かもしれない。
Think carefully. This could be extremely important.
昨日も聞いたことだが、地震の時、お前は何を望んだ？その結果、尾上がリアルブートされたのだとしたら、あいつに何を求めたんだ？
I asked you yesterday, but during the earthquake, what did you wish for? If that wish was if that wish was what real booted her, what did you want from her? It was save me, right?
本当にあいつは、お前を生存させることが目的なのか？
Was her job really to keep you alive? I remembered what I'd been like back then. I remembered the hellish sights around me, the horrible headache, and I had remembered begging Serica to help me. Serica said it was her goal to keep me alive, to save my life, literally. There was a brief but strong pain in my head. I pressed my hand to my forehead. Whenever I remembered that moment, the pain came back.
大丈夫ですか？
Are you okay? Armor had been through the same pain, so she was worried. I raised my hand and told her I was okay.
とにかく助けてくれと言った気がします。
I think I just told her to save me. Couldn't remember if I had barely been able to get the words out or I'd been shouting them at the top of my lungs, or if I'd even said them aloud at all. I couldn't remember asking Serica for help.
だけど
Still. Is that really all I wished for? Back then, Damn it. There's a new pain. This time I could feel throbbing in my temples. I pressed my hand harder into my head and my nails dug into my skin. My whole body staggered and I fell to the floor. Is he making a new wish?
先輩！
Is that why he got a headache? Or is he using his power for the first time somehow? A power? I can't imagine what that would be. There's a warm sensation on my shoulders. Armor is trying to help me up.
ごめん大丈夫
I'm sorry. I'm fine.
嘘です。
You're lying. Armor led me over to the bed in the corner of the examination room. I wanted to lie down right away,
い
but
やダメだ新庄さんが代わりの警官が来るって言ってたから雨季の部屋に隠れてろって
no, I can't. Shinjo-san said another officer's coming. He told me to hide in Uki's room.
じゃあ、もういいですから、上に行きましょう。
Then let's just go upstairs. I nodded and thanked her as she held me by the shoulder. I forced my body to softly push off of her and stand up on its own.
久野里さんもすいません
Kunosato-san, I'm sorry. She sighed in resignation and shook her head. It's fine, she said.
どのみち、尾上がここにいない以上、情報の裏付けは取れないしな。
Without Onoe here, I can't get confirmation either way.
お前の話だと、尾上は今夜10時28分にシアターキューブに現れるということだが。
From what you said, Onoe is going to be at the theater cube at 10:28 p.m. tonight, but
残念ながら私では、能力者2人を相手にして立ち回りを演じることはできそうにない。
ハンドガンも久しく撃ってないしな。
Fortunately, I can't see myself being able to fight two psychics. I haven't even fired a handgun in a long time. You definitely are a psychic. Armor returned to Kunosato-san, surprised that she'd fired a gun. Kunosato-san seemed unusually hesitant, but told us.
仕方がない。己の言うことにはどこか矛盾があるとはいえ、今はそれを探る時間も人も全く足りない。
I hate to say it, but we'll have to give this up. There's something not right about what Onoe is saying, but we don't have anywhere near the time or manpower to find out what it is.
とりあえずだが、予定通り新庄さんが戻ってくるのを待って渋谷を脱出する。
For now, we'll follow the original plan. We wait for Shinjo-san to get back and then leave Shibuya. Let me guess, the ending where we leave Shibuya is going to be the first, of course, bad ending, and then I'm going to get information from the other endings, and in the true ending, we actually don't leave Shibuya.
もし何らかの企みがそこにあるなら乗ってやるまでだ。
If there's also some kind of plot, we'll just cross that bridge when we get to it. I went to Uki's room to hide before the police officer got here and found Yuto curled up asleep on her bed. He must have been crying for a long time because the area around his eyes were red and I could see tear marks on his cheeks. Uki was sitting on the bed, softly holding his hand. She'd probably been like that for a long time. Seemed like a very natural thing for her to do.
ちゃんとお姉さんしてるんだな。
You're being a good big sister, aren't you?
いえ、私なんてまだ。
No, I'm still not. Her voice was soft and kind so as not to wake Yuto, but there was a loneliness mixed in with her words. I could see that she was looking at a photo on the desk. It was a picture of you and Uki, and I couldn't tell when it was taken. You was hugging Uki from behind and pressing her cheek up against Uki's blushing face. I thought about the person who'd taken this picture. If it wasn't the one they'd taken themselves, someone else had to have taken it. It couldn't have been Yuto. If Yuto was there, he'd been standing in between the two of them. And Dad wasn't into taking photographs, which meant it was probably no-no. I could tell what Uki was thinking when she looked at it. She was thinking about when Nono had taken the picture.
出発は夜になるって。準備できてる？
We're leaving tonight. Are you ready?
はい、一応は。でもよくわからなくて。
Yes, I guess. But I still don't understand. Neither did I. It wasn't that I didn't know what to take. I didn't know what was happening to me. I hadn't even been told where we were going, except that we were leaving Shibuya.
とりあえず一旦離れるだけだから心配しなくていいと思うよ。
We're just leaving for a while. I don't think there's anything to worry about.
はい。
Okay. Uki smiled a little at Harumo's attempt to make her feel better.
お前は大丈夫なのか？
Are you really okay with this?
大丈夫っすよ。前から旅に出てみたかったんで。
Sure am. I've been wanting to go on a trip. She was joking around, probably because Uki was here. It felt like old times and I smiled a little. Of course she wasn't okay. She was leaving the town where she lived with no notice at all. She was leaving because someone wanted to kill her.
なんて言うんですかね、こういうの。バンドワゴン？ん？バンドでワゴン？
What do you call this anyway? Jumping on the bandwagon? Banding in a wagon? No, and that second one doesn't even make any sense. She's eating squid. And suddenly I realized that Kazuki was in the corner of the room chewing dried squid. I hadn't seen that in a while either. It was kind of a relief.
花、ユウトが起きちゃうから。
Hana, you'll wake up Yuto.
ん？はあ、着替え足りるかな。買わなきゃダメか。
I wonder if I have enough clothes, so I guess I'll have to buy some. More tugged at her outfit, she spoke.
有村さん、よかったらですけど、
Armor-san, if you like.
よかったらそのののさんの使ってください。ののさんの部屋にありますから。
If you like, you can use Nono-san's. They're in her room.
え
Armora froze. She clearly didn't know what to say.
いやでもそれは
No, but that's...
いいんですね、タクルさん。
It's alright, right, Takaru-san? I was a little surprised. For a moment, she looked like Nono or Yui. She'd probably decided that she'd protect Yuto, and so she was trying to be big sister like they were. I nodded to both of them.
なあ、ノノはどんなものでも無駄にするのが大嫌いだったから、もらってやってくれないか。
Yeah, Nono hated to waste anything, no matter how small. Would you take them?
けど先輩は
But Senpai, you...
いいんだ。
I'm fine. Armor seemed a little surprised, but her face finally took on a serious expression.
わかりました。もらっていきます。
I understand. I'll take them.
はい。
Okay.
うん。
Armor ran over to Nona's room to get the clothes before the policeman came. I decided I should probably check if there were any clothes left in my room, then stood up.
渋谷を離れる。
I'm leaving Shibuya. I tried to leave the room quietly so as not to wake up Yuto, and then I stopped.
地震の時お前は何を望んだ？その結果尾上がリアルブートされたのだとしたらあいつに何を求めたんだ？
I asked you this yesterday, but during the earthquake, what did you wish for? If that wish was what real booted her, what did you want from her? I remembered what Kunasato-san had just said. I looked around as if trying to find the answer to a problem I couldn't solve, and then I saw Uki holding Yuto's hands as he softly moaned in pain.
いや、
No, I don't have to know, do I? I don't have to think about the things that I don't know. This is the right thing to do. But he's not a right-sider then. If I endured that headache long enough, I could probably find the answer. I gave up and left Uki's room to go get ready instead. We're gonna end it off there. Thanks for watching.